executive authority to do that. He is the executive of the executive branch, and therefore he has the power to fire anyone within the executive branch.
What began as an ordinary White House press briefing quickly turned into a tense showdown when CNN's Kaitlan Collins stepped forward with what she clearly believed was a strategically crafted, gotcha-style question designed to put Karoline Leavitt on the defensive and catch her off guard in front of the cameras, but instead of faltering, Karoline remained composed, poised, and impressively assertive, responding with a calm, fact-backed rebuttal that not only dismantled Kaitlan's premise but left the entire room stunned into silence, with Kaitlan visibly flustered, tripping over her own words and visibly struggling to recover as the air grew tense and still. And the most striking part of it all, the exchange was broadcast live in real time, no cuts, no edits, no filters, just raw, unfiltered political theater. And once that clip hit social media, it went viral almost instantly, sparking a flood of reactions from viewers who quickly began questioning Kaitlan's credibility, media bias, and whether she was truly fit for her role, as the backlash against CNN escalated with remarkable speed and intensity.
In federal funding, who advised the president on the legality of telling government agencies that they don't have to spend money that was already appropriated by Congress?
Well, as the OMB memo states, this is certainly within the confines of the law. So White House counsel's office believes that this is within the president's power to do it, and therefore he's doing it.
Okay, so they disagree with lawmakers who say that they don't have the power to freeze this funding.
Again, I would point you to the language in the memo that clearly states this is within the law.
And all that happened on Friday night. The administration fired several inspectors general without giving Congress the 30-day legally required notification that they were being fired. I think only 2 were left at DHS and the DOJ. And then yesterday we saw several prosecutors, I believe 12, fired from the Justice Department who worked on the investigations into the president. Mm-hmm. As you know, they are career prosecutors, therefore they are afforded civil service protections. How is the administration deciding which laws to follow?
Let's break it down. Kaitlan Collins walked into that briefing with visible confidence, clearly expecting to corner Karoline Leavitt with a smug, rehearsed jab that she thought would put Karoline on the defensive and showcase her own journalistic dominance, but that calculated move spectacularly backfired. Without missing a beat, Karoline fired back with sharp, articulate responses grounded in undeniable facts, dismantling Kaitlan's premise before she even had a chance to follow up. And in that moment, Kaitlan was visibly shaken, grasping for words, trying to regain control, but the momentum had already shifted. The entire room fell into an uneasy silence as everyone processed what had just happened, and the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife, while Kaitlan's face, marked by a stunned, almost embarrassed expression, said everything. She knew right then and there she'd just been thoroughly outmatched in front of a live audience.
White House and the White House counsel's office that the president was within his executive authority to do that. He is the executive of the executive branch, and therefore he has the power to fire anyone within the executive branch that he wishes to. There's also a case that went before the Supreme Court in 2020, Scala Law LLC versus the Customs, Bureau Protection. I would advise you to look at that case, and that's the legality that this White House was resting on.
So you're confident that if they bring lawsuits against you, the prosecutors were fired, that they will succeed?
We will win in court.
And
yes.
Did he personally direct this, given they worked on the classified documents investigation and the election interference investigation?
This was a memo that went out by the Presidential Personnel Office, and the president...
Karoline even let out a quick, amused laugh, a subtle but powerful move that showed just how unfazed and in control she really was, almost as if to say the whole exchange was too easy to take seriously, while across from her, Kaitlan Collins wore the unmistakable look of someone caught completely off guard, her face tightening with visible panic as she realized she had no effective comeback, no escape route, and no way to regain control of the narrative. And to make matters worse for her, every second of the exchange was captured live and instantly clipped, shared, and dissected by viewers online, who wasted no time letting up. Social media hashtags exploded. Short clips of the moment went viral across platforms, and conservative commentators celebrated the moment as a clear and decisive win for Karoline, while Kaitlan was left trending for all the wrong reasons, clearly shaken and exposed on national television. But the fallout didn't stop their CNN immediately shifted into damage control mode, quietly pulling segments from online archives, prompting their fact-checkers to muddy the waters, and scrambling to steer the news cycle in a different direction, helping to bury the moment under a wave of other headlines. Yet it was too late. The footage had already spread like wildfire, reposted by countless users from every political angle. And while CNN hoped their spin might salvage the situation, the public wasn't buying it. Conservative audiences praised Karoline's composure and dominance, and even some liberal viewers reluctantly admitted that Kaitlan got blindsided, underestimated her opponent, and ended up walking straight into a media moment that completely backfired.
Labeling President Trump a to democracy for the better half of 10 years. Let's talk about how they have compared him to one of the worst mass in the history of the world, and that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden weaponized the court system and the justice system in this country against Donald Trump in an attempt to imprison him. He sat through a courthouse for 7 weeks this past year, and the Democrats were hoping he would go to jail for it. That is real political that has led to 2 heinous attempts on President Trump's life that, by the grace of God, he was able to escape, and he is here with us today. So yes, President Trump knows a little bit about political violence because he's experienced it himself. And talking about the tragic realities of war that Liz Cheney and her father, Dick Cheney, have got this country into is not political. It's talking about the reality of the foreign conflicts that the Washington, D.C. establishment.
The irony was crystal clear. CNN tried to portray Karoline as unqualified, but in doing so, they ended up exposing their own failure to steer the narrative and control the moment. And just when it seemed Kaitlan Collins couldn't make things worse, she suddenly shifted gears and bizarrely brought up the national egg shortage in a desperate attempt to redirect the topic. But Karoline didn't flinch. She responded calmly and confidently, laying out how Biden's own agricultural policies, including mass chicken culling, directly contributed to the problem. Her response was concise, fact-based, and impossible to ignore, leaving Kaitlan visibly flustered and grasping for a rebuttal that never came. That was the turning point. Even viewers who typically support CNN began to question the network's credibility, as it became clear Karoline had completely owned the exchange,
putting the onus on this White House for the increased cost of eggs. I would like to point out to each and every one of you that in 2024, when Joe Biden was in the Oval Office or upstairs in the residence sleeping, I'm not so sure, egg prices increased 65% in this country. We also have seen the cost of everything, not just eggs. Bacon, groceries, gasoline have increased because of the inflationary policies of the last administration. As far as the egg shortage, what's also contributing to that is that the Biden administration and the Department of Agriculture directed the mass killing of more than 100 million chickens, which has led to a lack of chicken supply in this country.
One Twitter user summed it up perfectly. Imagine being humiliated that badly on national television in under 3 minutes. Karoline Leavitt completely dismantled Kaitlan Collins, and it felt like the kind of moment that could leave a permanent dent in her credibility. Even people inside CNN were probably cringing behind the scenes. Kaitlan tried every trick in the book to regain control of the conversation, but each attempt only made things worse, exposing just how unprepared she was for real pushback. And this wasn't just some isolated misstep, it reflected a deeper issue that's driving public frustration. Why more and more Americans are losing faith in mainstream media over and over again. Networks like CNN target conservatives, expecting them to fold under pressure. But Karoline flipped the script, calm, articulate, and unshaken, while Kaitlan and her network looked flustered and completely misaligned. People are growing exhausted, with media outlets twisting narratives and acting like their version of events is untouchable truth. This moment showed what it looks like when someone finally challenges that and does it effectively. Kaitlan looked visibly outmatched, and now CNN is scrambling to contain the fallout and distract from the damage. Meanwhile, Karoline Leavitt's credibility has only grown stronger, and this moment may have cemented her as a rising voice who knows how to hold the media accountable.
Every day, the same rhetoric that led to those 2 attempts. The second attempted on President Trump's life echoed the sentiment that President Trump is a democracy. And if you're a deranged lunatic and you're mentally ill, you will believe that lie. And yes, you will take political, like we have seen in two.
So here's the real question. Will CNN actually learn from this public misfire? Or keep running the same outdated playbook that just backfired spectacularly? No matter what they decide, one thing is clear. Karoline Leavitt just set a new standard for how to take on the media. And that's a challenge CNN won't recover from easily. Now we want to hear from you. Was this the most brutal media takedown of the year? Did Kaitlan Collins' meltdown signal just how far CNN's credibility has crumbled? And is it even possible for mainstream media to earn back the trust they've been steadily losing? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're listening. And before you go, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss the moments that actually matter. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.